So did you have an opportunity to listen to the president?
Oh, yes. I listened to him yesterday. I listened to the president. And, you know, I always say some of these things look like rituals. And we are increasingly coming to take them for granted as a country. In one way, it's good. And those are some of the benefits of democracy. That a president feels that after 120 days, usually it's first 3 months, most. The universal, this and this, he added another 30 days.
Yeah, ordinarily you hear first 100 days.
First 100.
But he added 20 days. 120
he
to give us a full
time,
complement of the first quarter.
Exactly.
That's 3 months.
So mostly it is, I'm saying, it's a good thing for a president to say, look, I've done this much. Let me come and try to update you. It's a form of accountability. It is a form of trying to stay together with the people. And it's a form of saying that, well, now the euphoria is over. Now the poetry is over. Now campaigning is over. Now we are in the thick of things. Because, you see, transitions take time.
Yeah.
After the elections, you take power. And even the process of putting together a government, the process of taking over, the process of being in charge, it takes some time. But right now, after this mark, is when you say, this is it. This is where I draw the line. Everything now is me. It is because if you haven't taken over anything from the government, your problem. If you are not fully in charge of any sector of the economy, your problem. If you have not appointed the right person or the right persons to be in the right places, your problem. But this is where blaming or trying to blame a former government stops. This is where journalists, civil society organizations, and people begin to tell you, no. That luxury, that honeymoon is over.
It's over.
And so for me, that is the way I want us to see it, as a governance continuum. As us beginning today to tell the president that, yeah, it is now the JDM economy. It is now the NDC economy. It is now the JDM, Jenopokunana economy. And now let's begin to do that. So that the idea of trying to quickly flip from and say it was done by the federal government, we should begin to discard it.
So, I mean, what stood out for you? He mentioned a number of things. Let's look at his 25 promises.
Yes.
What stood out for you? And then he also gave us an idea of what he intends to do going forward. So let's start with what he says he has done so far.
Thank you. If you look at it, I mean, the daily graphic is scoring him at 72%. I think Imani Ghana is scoring him at about 50. The Institute of Economic Research and Public Policy is scoring him at 36%. So he's like, so if you're putting the averages together, he's coming somewhere. He's barely passing at 50, barely. If you just take this and start after that. But for me, I want to focus on two main issues that are critical to me. One, the fight against Galamsey, and number two, ethics, morals, and values. That is his code of conduct.
Right.
Let me start with the Galamsey. Whilst in a position, this made a very important point that Galamsey was an existential threat.
Yes.
That means that it has the potential to threaten our very life, our very existence, our very being, of whom we are. When something is an existential threat, you treat it as it is. You don't treat it with kid gloves. So there were certain things were promised. One of the biggest arguments, strongest arguments made, and one of the reasons why the former government lost civil society and lost a lot of the upper to middle class was precisely because of the poor handling, the perceived poor handling of Galamsey. And you could go, almost all TV stations. By the time you go, they say a box or something standing there with Galamsey water. So it played a part. We promised to come. The government said, look, we will deal with it decisively. 120 days in the line, there's nobody, absolutely nobody, even civil society organizations, who will say, we are winning it. I'm not saying we've won it. There is nobody, even civil society organizations, who will tell you that the tide is changing against Galamsey. No. The verdict is still poor F in Galamsey fights. Civil society organizations and the people that might ask for a few things. Declare a state of emergency in all Galamsey areas. Laws matter. State of emergency matters. That is one of the lowest hanging fruits. You didn't do it. You promised to repeal, expunge the law that allows mining Galamsey Center.
The LI-24 system.
The LI-24 system. That was a promise. Expunge it, to repeal it. What did we get? Or what is promised now that it was amended? They are two different things.
But now we've been told that it will be repealed.
Again, well, so we are supposed to believe. So you understand. Now there are two. One, you told us that, oh, I will expunge it. Then you said, oh, sorry, I will not expunge it again.
I will amend it.
I will amend it. Then there's a third version. Oh, by the way, remember when I said I will not expunge it? I will go back again and I'll expunge it. Now, some people will say that's a flip-flopping. Some people will say that that is uncertainty. And some people will say that is indecision. I will say I will buy it any day. It doesn't matter how long it takes to get there. It doesn't matter how long it takes the president to get there. Just get there. If this is what will get you there, I'm fine. Galamsey is an existential threat. So far, the way the Galamsey is handling is not different from the way it was handled in the former government. There are raids, yes. The soldiers are there. We are arresting people. We are supposed to be burning things. We are doing this and nothing different. So my humble plea and prayer is because it is an existential threat that it will receive. So far, everybody, and I'm not just saying, even look at civil society organizations, media coalitions for Galamsey, everybody is giving this government an F in the Galamsey fight. Please, for the sake of our democracy, for the sake of our survival, and for the fact that it is an existential threat, Mr. President, take the low-hanging fruit. We accept your indecision. We accept how difficult it is for you to get to the point where you can say that, let's expunge it. It doesn't matter. Let's just get a job done. So that is what Galamsey. We think that the government ought to do more, it should do more.
But you heard him speak on the Minerals and Mining Act of 2003. He says you are meant to permanently ban mining in forest reserves.
When sometimes government and governance is about priorities. Government and governance is about priorities. One of the first things the government sent to Parliament when they came was what? A bill or whatever to remove e-levy. And to remove betting tax.
This was one of the promises they made.
One of the promises you made. You did. They were done before Parliament rose. That means they were treated as #1 priorities. You want to tell me that enabling people to bet more is more a priority than an existential crisis of Galamsey? Because again, I didn't define it as essential. You did. But you rather chose to prioritize betting over what? An existential crisis. What commander-in-chief does that?
Probably that came easier.
You see, government is what you know. Nobody is voting into power to make easy choices. And His Excellency the President knows that. Remember, he's one of the most experienced presidents in Ghana because he's been there before. So he knows the issues. He understands the issues. Government is about doing difficult things, and government is not a popularity contest. So this was a man who says, look, I understand the situations. I know the situations. And governance is also about what? Politics is about what? The art of the possibility. So you don't take easier, you are not voted to take easier decisions, to take cheap decisions, to take simple decisions. You were voted to take the difficult decisions. And if you define Galamsey as an existential threat, I would have thought that was probably one of the first bills sent to Parliament. Expunge the bill, declare state of emergency, and then you do that. You understand? They've not done that. So for me, that is a big F there. And it's not only me. You can see there's nobody, absolutely nobody. Talk to any of the media colleagues, talk to anybody, they will tell you nothing has so far been done to tell them that we are even beginning to turn the tide. You see, that is difficult, dangerous, because if you look at the previous government, the APP started doing some big things on Galamsey until it was almost time for elections. Then they suffered for the elections. Do you understand? Then they stopped. The best time to do some of your most difficult things, to implement some of your most unpopular decisions and policies, is in your honeymoon period.
You think so?
Yes, it's your early days, because honeymoon period, people still love you, your approval ratings are high, opposition is in disarray, they are struggling, they are trying to do. That gives you room to implement some of your most difficult decisions. So that's why if you go back,
not room to assess the actual situation before you take those decisions.
You implement your most difficult and popularly controversial decisions in your honeymoon period, and then you keep improving. Remember, governance is a continuum, and that is why when it comes to public policy, we talk about something called muddling through. You keep doing it, you keep implementing, you keep revising it. So look, go back and see. Akufo-Addo implemented his free HSS, some of the most difficult ones. This early in his administration. Go back, you will see that Akufo did most people, because that is a time that your approval rating is high and opposition is in disarray. But we are not seeing that here. So for me, His Excellency the President has an opportunity to be what? A generational president. He has an opportunity to be the president who can say that I've seen everything I've done.
Very well. Very well.
But right now, on this low ball of galamsey, he's failing.
Okay.
That's number one. I can
What's
go to the code of
second
conduct. The second issue is the code of conduct. It says we institute a code of conduct. Again, it's a good idea. I thank the president for looking at that. Because governance matter. Ethics matter.
Yeah.
Values matter in our governance system. And for a president to publicly say that, look, I'm going to do this and I'm going to put this in, it's laudable. I appreciate it. Secondly, the president is on board to be what? Penalizing his own appointees for meeting one of the key cardinal principles of this values ethics system. Remember, he's the same man who said that if you miss it, I'll fire you.
Yeah.
He didn't fire them. Again, you started. See, sometimes politicians, political appointees are like children. They try to push their boundaries. And they want to see how far can we go. They've missed the first target. He's penalizing again with pay, with money. Again, that's
not all missed the first target. There were those who were appointed later on.
Good.
Yeah.
So he's giving them a respite. That is good. That is a president who says that, look, sorry, you've missed one sign. I'll give you another chance. And then we go to the second thing. But there are deep-rooted problems, even in the code of conduct, in and of itself. What are these? One stanza. You cannot receive a gift more than 20,000
cedis. Yeah.
That is more than $1,000. That's just a lot of money. Okay. But then they don't spell. Is it $20,000 per gift? Is it 20,000 cedis per day, per gift, per week, per gift, per year, per gift? So if today I'm a minister of state and I'm going to do my work, I start in Accra, somebody gives me 19,000 cedis. I continue to Kumasi, I get another 19,000. I get to Tamale, then I get to Tumu, my hometown of Tumu, and then I get another thing. That is already 100,000 cedis. Those are gifts. Do I keep them? Or do I return it to government? So the question is, how much am I supposed to collect? If somebody is supposed to give me a gift again, and what is the value? Secondly, how do we determine the value? So when you leave it this open, when you don't have a capability, it creates problems in and of itself. Who values it? How do I know? So I think it is something that should be tighter more, should be redefined. Because, if I'm a government appointee, I'm genuinely confused as to the gift I'm supposed to. This young man is my friend. He gives me a gift of this phone, mobile phone, iPhone. It's 20,000, I accept it. Tomorrow, if he gives me another gift of an Android phone of 20,000, should I accept it? Should I report it? You see, when you create an ambiguity around issues of ethics and values and morality, you are digging a hole that you cannot luckily come out.
Very well, very well, very well. Let me say good morning to Elvis Dakon. Elvis Dakon is the editor of the News Center newspaper, newscenter.com. He has joined us this morning. I also want to say good morning to the Honorable Nilante Vanderpoy. He's the National Coordinator for the District Road Improvement Project or Program, that's TRIP. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Yes. John Dramani Mahama, 120 days in office. Yesterday, he addressed the nation. Elvis, did you watch or listen to him?
Oh, I didn't get a chance to watch it. But at least we know what he said he wants to do.
Right.
And we know what he has been able to do. 120 days in office for a president. It's like something almost every country they do to just say, 120 days of the president, what has he been able to do, the promises made and all that. And these are promises during the campaign. So at all costs, efforts will be made to make sure that something is done in place. The issue is that there's promises. When we describe them as fulfilled, what do we mean by fulfilled? That, for me, that is it. Is it that the mere start of it is fulfilled, or the policy has been implemented to a level where society is satisfied?
So it's the value thereof.
That you understand. So sometimes when I look at 120 days in office, and I look at what is said to have been done, the categorization would be, is it that everything that once it started means that it has been done? Because a lot of the things you talk about, in actual fact, the actual tests of those things are going to come later in your administration.
Right.
Because when you start it, there will be fanfare and pageantry. because you promised to do it, you have started it. That's when everybody will be happy that it has been started.
So he's fulfilled the promise.
Yeah, but in the actual test of those policies begin to hit you along the way, and how you are able to address them becomes the test point. So sometimes I believe that a fanfare sometimes that goes with 120 days in office or 90 days in office. I don't really take much interest in that, because I believe that a 4-year term is what is going to define what you will be able to do with your mandate. And if within the 4-year term, with the things that you took credit and fanfare for along the way becomes your albatross that you struggle to deal with, then the question will be all the fanfare at the beginning, to what end? And so for me, we have to look at some of this. For instance, if the president is fighting Galamsey today, the Galamsey fight was on before he came to power. In fact, Galamsey fight started from President Mills. His first term, he continued as John Mahama. Akufo-Addo has come. He has come. So when they say, I'm going to fight Galamsey, it's part of 120, and you have come. For me, it's just like telling me something that we already know. You understand it? The reality is that what you are doing is what you did in your first term, is what Akufo-Addo has done. It's all that everybody attempt to find Galamsey has done, and we are where we are. We are not satisfied with where we were. That is why it was one of the key reasons why the former government was kicked down. The question is the 120 days that you want to take credit for, that you are fighting Galamsey. What is the state of our water bodies? So what credit is there to take for it? Are we being told that within the 120 days of John Mahama, our water bodies are clean? So you see, for me, arrest and seizure of excavators, it is nothing new. You understand my point? So for me, I think that yes, if you promise, it's a social contract you sign with people. You have to make sure that you fulfill it. But the beginning, starting it, to me, is not the entire fulfillment. If you are telling me that you have started the process, it's different from saying I have fulfilled. You understand it? That's why I'm citing the Galamsey fight, for instance. So I believe that it's easy for any government to do these things in their first term, because you told people you will do it. But see, those things that you started today, it's not like it's completed. It's a process. So it's along the 4 years or your mandate that the implementation is going to be confronted with challenges, and how you are able to address them. At the end of your 4-year term, that is where voters will go to the polls and says, yes, you promised to start it, you started it. While it ended up, I'm satisfied, so I will maintain you. How it ended up, I'm totally not satisfied, so I'm voting you out. So for me, I don't really take much joy or interest in this 120 days things that we talk about, because listen, everybody in Ghana will admit that the 120 days things we are so happy about have not solved even 5% of our national problems. You understand? But we are all anxious of solving our problems. So you start the processes of doing things. It does not mean that it's an end. It's a process. So for me, if you start something that's a process, I am more interested in maybe halfway or in the middle of it, and we do an assessment of it. But this one, as I said, is something that every government does around the world. And Trump has done it, and everybody will do it. So it's just like a normal thing any government that is voted into power will do, to tell the public that what I promised, I have started them. So for me, when we categorize them that fulfilled, sometimes I have a challenge with it, because I don't think that starting something that's a process and you start it and say it's fulfilled, sometimes I will just take it that it's fulfilled. So sometimes it's good. It's good that a president, and you see, it's a form of accountability, because you said it during campaign. So if you told me that 120 I'll do ABCD, or I'll start the process to do ABCD, and 120 days, you are telling me what you have done. So for me, it's very important in democracy that there should always be accountability about things.
Does the language of the document matter? Because when it says I will launch, and indeed he has launched, then that means he has fulfilled the promise.
That's what I'm saying. I've answered that question already. I said, look, a code of ethics has been launched today. Along the way, the implementation is where we are going to. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying that starting a process is one thing, and how the process pans out, especially when it gets to places where challenges come. It's another thing. For instance, my talked about the promise of repealing and revoking LI 240. Where are we today? The bill that was sent to Parliament did not revoke it.
Was for an amendment.
They just wanted trying to do an amendment of it. That was not a promise. You understand it? So, but now he realized that though I said I will revoke it, it takes a process.
Right.
You understand? Now he's talking about the fact that having been confronted with the reality, I realized that it's not easy to revoke it immediately.
Yeah.
And that it has to go to a certain process. That's why I'm saying that when we focus on the process, rather than the initial step, we'll be doing a more critical analysis of what we have been able to do.
Yeah.
Because I've started it, I want to praise me. Yeah, I will praise you for starting it, but then the process.
Yeah.
Because right now, the reason they can't revoke LI 246 is because it's clear now that people have been given legitimate licenses to operate in those forest reserves.
Yeah.
Government has the power to say, I have revoked it. But what will be the internal the consequence will be that those people will go to court and sue the government
Judgment
and
debts.
claim huge money in judgment debt because you have legally licensed them.
Yeah.
A government is a government. It doesn't matter whether
Who's in power.
who is in power. So if Ghana government licenses them, that you can
mine in these areas.
and at the time you are making the process, you didn't pay attention to that. You say, I'll revoke it once I come to power. You understand it?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, what are we see? You realize that no, if I just go ahead and do that, there will be a problem. You understand? So it has to be a process. So I am saying that when this thing happens, I'm more focused on the process than rather the starting. Because when you start, it's at the beginning. How will the process pan out? Even what we have said right now, look, to achieve that is going to be difficult. Because if somebody has a license still have about 10 years to expire, your amendment of the mining law will have to take consideration of the fact that then those leases have to expire. The only thing you can do is that you will not issue new licenses for mining in forest reserves. That one, nobody can sue you for that. But if somebody has a 10 years lease that is still valid, and you go and amend the law, you cannot make a new law to take retrospective effect to affect somebody's business interest. So it meant that you now are faced with it. You understand it? So we have to clearly look at 120 days. It's good you said I will do something. But as I said, it's a campaign message. So you say I will do because you are campaigning. You have to give people hope. But the reality of I will do is that
is the doing.
It's a start. This is what to do with the first one today. It's actually the beginning of a process.
Yeah.
And along the way is where we will actually have the time to really judge whether that process that you started, that we credited for trying to start, how did it pan out in terms of implementation? And this is where sometimes governments set traps for themselves. Because you are now come to take credit, I have done it. And then the implementation process now gives you difficulties. And then the people say, but you said you have done this, and now here where we are even worse off than the time you said you have done it. So why did you take credit? I want to punish you. So sometimes I think that the 120-day thing, sometimes when you don't even critically look at it, you may be setting a trap for yourself. Because as I said, the LI has become a trap for you now. Because now the realities of revoking it has made you believe that if you attempt it, you may cost the state some judgment debt. So now you have to find a process. The question is, let's assume that people in the forest, all of them have leases that goes beyond your 4-year term. You will say, I've changed the law, but people will still be mining there because they have a lease. And then when it's voting, what do you expect the voter to say? But your promise has not been fulfilled because people are still mining the forest reserve. So now you come and give excuse and say, but their lease existed before I came to power. But you know that they had a lease before you were making the promise. So you see, I believe that sometimes we have to be careful with the language. We have to be careful with the language of some of these things, how we say it. You see, politicians, one thing they should take note of is that most of the times they have good intentions. But how they communicate it sink in with the people, and the people use the very words that they used in the beginning against of those things against them later. Even though sometimes you can even say what they have even done within the difficulties they tried. But they'll tell you that's not what you told us. This is the words you use. And we are using the same word. Exactly. So you understand. So I think that it is not to take credit for what he has promised to. But I am saying that let's use the word start rather than I have fulfilled. Because most of the things that you are supposed to do, they are not fulfillment. You understand it?
Yeah.
They are a start of a process until it is fully completed. Then you say, I have done.
Yeah.
So I am looking at these things more of how we the language, how we communicate these things, so that the public do not turn around tomorrow and come and repeat your own words to you. We're in an age where now everything you say, the internet never forgets.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you go and say something, somebody will come and play back to you about what you said on that day. This is not what you are now telling
Exactly.
us. And then they accuse you of excuse
Sure.
to say maybe deceit. But probably you are not deceiving them. It's only maybe the choice of words. So for me, I think that 120 days is a general thing any government in the world will do. But let's always give people, let's manage the expectations. That's the way. Manage the expectations by the kind of words and how we describe some of these things. Because along the process, you may, is it President Mahama suffered this thing where he said he will put his presidency on the line. Today, people still use that word that he said he'll put his presidency on the line. Still, Galamsey is there. So what did he do? We should even have impeached him. You understand it?
Yeah.
Because he's the one who said, I'll put my, but the intention of saying I'll put my presidency on the line does not mean that the Galamsey does not end immediately. I'm resigning. Probably his intention is that I'll do everything possible within my power to be able to fight this. But you didn't say it that way.
Yeah.
You said I'll put my presidency on the line. So that is what we'll repeat to you.
All right, Elvis,
and I think that as we are growing as a democracy, as a people, we should find the importance of communication and how we manage people's expectation with the words that we use.
Thank you. Honorable Vanderpoy, you have been in government for 120 days. What's your own assessment?
Thank you. Let's say good morning to our viewers and also to my colleague panelists, and say that sitting here as a member of the NDC and under the government, I feel so proud. I will first want to say I'm so proud to have a president who is very candid and who is very principled in his approach to governance. I want to have a president who will want to set a sort of standards and parameters for his appointees than to have a president who will just leave the playground for everyone to do what he wants. And even when they have gone against certain moral boundaries, will be cleared of any wrongdoing before investigative bodies are given the opportunity to even investigate them. Let me say, President Mahama's promises to Ghanaians before his election are bonds that he signed with Ghanaians. And he's somebody who had lived by his word. I was privileged to have served in his first government, and I know the things he said and the things he did. And today, I have no doubt in my mind that he would hold all of us to the stakes and make sure we respond to the dictates and the limits of our office. His contract with Ghanaians cannot all be executed within 120 days. Every reasonable human being should understand that, for example, if government says, I will end Galamsey, it is not an event. It's a process. And every indication, the color of our rivers have not changed, because they are not going to change in 120 days, no matter what you do. Everyone, including all these CSOs and NGOs involved in the Galamsey fight, have come to the conclusion that if for nothing at all, they've seen a great effort being made. They've seen this fight, this particular fight, being much more an escalation of what we saw some time ago. They've seen a commitment on the part of the head and on the part of the main actor in the game. Erastus Asaredonko himself has concluded that even though it is not perfect, he is impressed with the attitude and the commitment shown so far towards the fight to eliminate galamsey from our forests. It is not a fight that is going to begin and end 120 days. And President Mahama did not say it anywhere that within 120 days he will end galamsey. He didn't say it anywhere. I want anyone to put me to test and tell me President Mahama said it at this platform that within 120 days he will end galamsey. He never said it there. He said he will end galamsey. So it could be today, tomorrow, 1 year. So what we should expect to do, that the efforts being put in and the sort of commitment that is being shown will be taken over by all of us as a people to end this menace. One of the key areas I heard President Mahama talk about, which to me he has really committed himself to and he has fulfilled, taking a step into it, is when he talked about setting up and organizing educational forum and an economic forum within 120 days. These two activities will change the course of our country. Because when we are able to reform and restructure our educational system very well, then it will open opportunity for us to be able to bring up the sort of human resource we are looking for that will turn around our economy. Two, we've lived through a situation where we've gone under stress of IMF policies. So he said, I will organize an education forum so that all of us, as a group, as a people, will be able to think and be able to carve out the sort of economic policies that will end us not going back to the IMF and going back to those policies. And these two issues, these two forums have been held. And very good. I was listening to Kofi Asare yesterday, even though my brother was with him, and my brother was not too happy. Kofi Asare yesterday said that as far as those
Kofi Asare offered you watch?
Yes.
Okay, very well.
He said the sort of conclusions that they've arrived at the forum, which some of them have been started, will end up resolving major problems that have encountered our educational system from primary to tertiary. And I was excited because this is somebody who has been a very, very assured critic of our educational system, not today, under Professor Mills, even he started under President Kufuor, and President Mills, President Mahama, President Ronaldo, and back to President Mahama. Consistently, he has pointed out some of the issues, and he got the opportunity to sit there and said they've even conducted 20,000 surveys. 20,000 respondents have responded to their survey on how to look forward as far as higher education was concerned. So it's not a president who is doing it all. This is a president who is engaging the people, engaging Ghanaians, engaging people, no matter your political affiliation, to be able as a people to carve out what is in the interest of the country. We've had economic forum. For the first time, let me say I'm happy that unlike the Senchi forum, when a certain group of people decided that for their political convenience, they will not be part. This one, everybody, every concerned Ghanaian was there. People from various backgrounds contributed, and at least we've been able to fashion out certain things. Today I sit here, many Ghanaians out there, the president has fulfilled his promises to them. Hasn't he scrapped the e-levy?
Yes.
The betting tax?
Yes.
Emissions levy? So,
what of the COVID?
Look, the COVID, he said the COVID is embedded in the VAT. So there must be a whole law to reform it so that we'll be able to take the COVID out. And he said they have even engaged with the IMF and other multilaterals so that they will be able to carve or take out the COVID without necessarily affecting the policies they're embarking upon. It's a commitment to it. So I'm seeing a president who came to the people with a wish list. And he's been able to transform that list into an evidential document which everybody can testify to. Look, some of the issues that he talked about, you and I know from day one, that, as I said earlier with the Galamsey, are not things that, look, he talked about ending the infrastructure deficit in our schools. It was a promise he made.
Yeah.
Even if we started building all those schools, we will not be finishing within 120 days.
120 days, true.
But the most important thing is that he uncapped the GET fund, so that it will release funds for infrastructure development in our schools, from the basic level to the secondary level and to the tertiary level.
So you'd agree that the nature and form in which the promises are made is sometimes what leaves room for ambiguity and questioning.
If I say I will buy you a car, does it get, has it got, let me say, a gestation period?
No. But you had a 120-day social contract with us.
Yes, well, does it include buying you a car? That's what you must ask yourself. And then if I say I will buy you a car, and I don't say that I will buy you a car within 120 days, why would you want to hold me to buy you a car within 120 days?
But when you include it in your
120-day social contract,
take all the 120-day social contract.
You should have included it in your statement.
Those, if I say I'm going to build a house within 120 days,
then you should build a house within 120 days.
A building starts with a foundation.
Perhaps you have your own technology.
And that technology
Because
includes
you promised me 120 days.
fabrication.
The building should be like a manor.
No,
to drop from
a container house.
So the Chinese, they build the house and they ship it to you.
And you say you will build a brick and tile house and not a container house. That is what you want to tell me?
But you say you do it in 120 days.
So the issue is that don't hold yourself to a house. Don't define for me what our house we are talking about.
I'm only asking Per.
That's the argument he was making yesterday. That was the argument he was making yesterday.
Big brother, let me say this. You see, that's the point we are saying. You said, I will expunge the law that allows the
LI 2460.
You said you will do it in one. It's part of the 120-day social contract. Yes. So do it.
Has it started the process?
No. You did not say I will start the process. Look, there are things that you say you will start the process. That's what I'm saying.
Is it the issue with the
there are
language
certain
and
things
form?
there. Look, you see, they are trying to reduce performance to a ticking box, which is hollow and has no meaning, value. Do you understand? That's what you are doing. You are and then you see, politicians try to create what we call a strategic ambiguity in what they are talking, so that they can easily hide under language. Sometimes either it's the legality or whatever to hide under. Semantics. I call it strategic political ambiguity. So you say, okay, I will hold a national dialogue. That is, so once you held a national dialogue, you take a box. It doesn't matter whatever is discussed there. It doesn't matter whether you are going to take that on. It doesn't matter whether you are going to implement. It doesn't matter whether you've held that national dialogue on education and how it will affect education. No. I say I will hold a national dialogue. I'll take the box. You want us to give you that, and that is why almost 90% of those. But then you now say, I will end Galamsey, or I'll expunge the law banning Galamsey. Now you haven't done it, but you say, oh, by the way, I've started the process.
Yeah.
You see, let's hold our own critical analysis here.
Yeah.
Does it take a day to expunge a law?
But you knew that.
You knew that. When you said e-levy, you sent e-levy to Parliament.
Hold on.
You knew it didn't take a day. It didn't take a day to expunge e-levy.
Yes.
It didn't take a day to expunge budget tax. But you took it to Parliament. You did it. This one, you knew when Parliament was going to see. You knew you had all the factors, all the variables were known. But you would conveniently wait until Parliament leaves. And then you're not saying, oh, by the way, we'll send it there. And when you send there, what they send there is not to expunge, it's to what? Amend. When you did not promise,
No.
amend.
You have not been in Parliament before.
No. Parliament, but I hope to be there one day.
Really?
Yeah.
It will not happen.
I think you're a prophet of
I'm saying it will not happen because he can't win that seat.
He's God.
I know.
He's God.
He cannot. I know his place. He knows.
He's God.
I'm not God.
So he knows drama.
But it will not happen.
He's God.
There's no way you can win that seat. So
You are God. Thank you.
It's like you telling me you will be an MP. No. How can I?
What do you know about that seat?
To know.
Sister Lex, what do you know about it?
Me, I've worked there.
For the last 8 years, that scene has been.
Let's not digress.
It's one of the most flip-flop places in the country.
Doc,
so what do you know about it?
Doc, we've turned it. And it will
You
never
just won it once in the last 8 years.
No.
The last 8 years.
Have you forgotten Ali Jata?
Have you
saying that
Have you
it is a
forgotten?
flip-flopping seat. That's the all you can say.
Listen, Doc.
We've held it for Secretary Ali Jata.
You had it for 8 years. Let's held it for 8 years. That's it.
Yes, and we've taken over again. So what?
Yes, so you've done it.
I said you will never be.
It's not on the deal. It's not on the deal.
You will never be.
It's not on the deal.
You will never be.
Dr. Zaki, hold on. Let's not digress. Leave their seat in.
I never knew that you
We
were
are
like
here
a god.
looking at a 120-day social contract. Please wrap up your thoughts on this for me.
If you bumped up or you lump up or you summed all into a decent expectation that he will have fulfilled, you yourself from day one know that some of those things are not things that you can just do within 120 days.
But when you were telling us that in what was
And I'm
the
saying
thinking?
the president.
We need to understand the rationale behind it.
Did you listen to the president? And did you carefully analyze the things he said? I will end, I will do, I will initiate.
That's why I asked the question about language and form.
I'm saying
promise was made.
that you push you not. He said he made a social contract on issues, and some of the issues he said, I will do this, I will do this. Which one did he say I will end? The ones he know he can do within 120 days, like scrapping the levy and all that. He said it. I will scrap it. I would have an educational forum. I will have an economic forum, and those things have been achieved.
Yeah.
He said, I will end Galamsey. And there's evidence to show that he's taking the necessary steps, commitment to ending Galamsey. So when you get up and you lump all and you say, he said he will do this within 120 days, then you are misleading.
I see, just like the doc said, we are taking.
So don't you tell me
so
that
on an issue like Galamsey, where we know it's not an event, would it have been prudent for him to have given us a timeline? When if you're putting,
he didn't give us timeline on Galamsey.
And I'm asking if it would have been prudent for him to do so, because you know you can't do that within 120 days.
No, and he didn't say he would end it in 120 days.
But you put that in your 120-day social contract. That's where my issue is.
You see, the issue is that
are
you the ones?
Yes.
Are you the ones?
The thing is in black and white. The thing is in ink.
And the social contract, what is? I'm not denying it. But I'm saying you yourself should be able to ask yourself.
Which question? What should I ask myself?
Can you end Galamsey 120 days?
But he said he would do it. I'm not the president.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
He said he would expunged the law. He said yes. He said he's not expunging. He hasn't expunged.
Why didn't he start the process?
You are both saying the same thing.
Yes.
What the argument here, the only difference is that if the president knows that it's not going to be a 120 day, you don't include it in the social contract. You don't address it.
You told me that I will expunge the law in 120 days. Then 120 days you've not done it, and you're not saying it's not done in a day. We all know road is not built in a day.
He said
hold on.
Has it started the process in Parliament?
No.
What do you mean by no?
The process in Parliament is to amend the bill, not to expunge it.
So if you amend the bill and you expunge a class, what does it mean?
But you didn't say you're going to.
But you see, you promised a repeal.
Listen.
You promised a repeal.
A repeal doesn't mean the whole bill. If you repeal clauses within the bill, it's still a repeal. Because there may be one significant clause that will have a bearing on all the sub clauses.
Right.
And when you repeal that clause, it's still a repeal. So I don't understand what people are saying.
Should I help him?
You think a repeal means removing the whole bill? The whole bill.
So it's not a repeal. So you will revoke mining in forest reserves.
Yes.
But the bill that was sent to Parliament was not revoking it. That is the difference. The amendment they were seeking in the amendment is not to revoke it. That is the difference.
The amendment they are seeking is to take out the clause that gives the president the permission to give people the license to mine in forest reserves. And what are we talking about here?
And what happens to those who are already in the forest mining?
What I'm saying.
And it's because those who are dead, that's why he made the promise.
And so what the president cannot just get up and come in, and you yourself have said it, and say that I've taken up people's licenses. Unless you want to have a situation where the president has authority to just throw away laws that we have done without necessarily going to Parliament. We are not in a revolutionary time. We are in a democratic situation. And the president has said that he will use processes and law and order to make sure that these things are taken away with, they are ended, and we are free from those scorches. And that is a process he has started. And so I will not be expecting anyone to sit and think that something that somebody could not do in 8 years, President Mahama should be able to do it in 120 days.
Very well. Doc.
Honorable, thank you very much. I'm glad you know my constituency very well. I know
Yes.
you know Sister Ali is very well.
I know Sister
But
Ali
if you
is
also
very
know
well.
a little bit of a history of Sister Ali, is
Yes.
one of the most flip-flopping constituencies.
Doc, that's
that
fine.
I know.
Leave Sister Ali alone.
No, wait, I will leave Sister Ali. That's my constituency. So, by the way, the big push you guys say you're going to do,
Yes.
can you help with our roads? They're so bad. Sister Ali. Now we produce the best maize in Ghana, but we have the worst road now. So can you help with that for us, please? I beg you. The roads are very bad. Sister Ali, help us. I beg you. Hey, oh, you are in charge of drink. Also help us. Please help
MP
us.
is already with me.
Thank you.
And we are working on it.
I beg you, please
Very
help.
well.
The roads are very, very
Yes.
bad.
Let's go with the 120
Now
days
come back to the
social
120 days. You see, Honorable is trying to help us to deal with some kind of logic that is difficult to follow. At least between the two of us.
You are convinced on the strategic political ambiguity.
Yes, and they are playing words. That's what I'm saying. They want to reduce performance to box ticking. But then even that, it comes to some boxes. They don't know how to take it. They don't want to take it. They have to take it. Every single civil society organization that is in Galamsey says you are failing. You've got an F there so far. You've not even begun
It is not
to
true.
turn the tide.
It is not
It's
true.
time. Call Erastus. Yesterday, I was with one of them.
Call all of them.
They tell you because whatever you are doing is the same thing that the NPP has been doing. Seizing Galamsey, seizing
excavators.
burning excavators, arresting some people. It's the same thing. What people have said, what you promised, and your language was strong in this
It's not
one.
about just
You said
arresting and
we
seizing.
will expunge the law. We will remove it. You come look two things. Let's say Ghanaians are watching. There was e-levy, and then there's a law permitting voting.
Mining in forest reserves.
You said I will remove e-levy, and when you came, you did that.
Yeah.
The Minister of Finance, first, the President went to the State of the Union and says we will remove e-levy.
Yeah.
Your Finance Minister went to Parliament and laid the bill. It's expunged. E-levy is no more there. Now, if you are sending money midnight, there will be no e-levy. But you know that. Okay. Then you come to Galamsey. You said
My monies are free from the clutches of the Nando.
thank you. Then you come to Galamsey. You said we will expunge it. We will remove it. But then you don't send a bill to remove it. You send a bill to amend it. Wait a minute. Remove and amend are two different things. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a student of law. Everybody knows it's common. So why do you say I will expunge it? You say you expunge
He is
e-levy, you
a student of
expunge
law.
it. You said I will expunge betting tax, you expunge it. But you say I will expunge Galamsey, you don't expunge it. And you say we should give you commendation for what? For what? You didn't do it. You said you would do it. You didn't do it. So, I mean, no matter how you dress it, no matter what the semantics is, no matter how the political football jargon, so you didn't do it. My point is that if you get
you are a law
come
student. Nana, you are a law student.
I'm yet to enter there.
Amendment. Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You've done LLB?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
If there's a law, you can expunge clauses of the law through an amendment. Do you know that?
Yes.
Yes.
You
I know
can
that.
expunge clauses, certain clauses of the law, of the whole law, through an amendment,
I know.
which will never make the law the same.
Yes.
You understand?
So it's the effects.
It's the effect.
But that's not what you promised.
Listen.
Very well, you hold on.
So,
Let's hear
so
Honorable
the
Alex.
man
You
says,
leave
I will
the
expunge.
me out.
I'll come to you, Elvis. I'll come to you.
You and him are saying the same thing.
Is it both of you are quoting what I'm
Exactly,
saying?
yeah.
The language
You said the trap and they're both falling into it.
On a political, maybe that's the type I expected journalists like, which aspect of the law will you expunge? Or are you expunging the whole law? You understand? So today, he's taking steps to expunge certain clauses of the law through an amendment. And that one, two people say, we don't understand. You understand? The critical issue in that law is that freedom that the executive have to give people licenses to mine in forest reserves. And as for water bodies, it's a no-no.
Bro.
Yes, and that is the critical issue the president has talked about, that this is what I'm going to take out. So let's see what will happen after the law has been amended and reviewed in Parliament.
Very well.
And then we can assess him on that. But if we conclude now that he says he will expunge, so we expect the whole law to be expunged or to be repealed, it's a different thing. Expunge is not the same as repeal. If you are repealing, then you are repealing the whole legislation. You understand me? But expunge, you can take aspects of the law through an amendment.
Right. Very well. Elvis.
This is all. See, all the argument here is what I said. It's about the language.
Exactly.
See, during the campaign, there is huge public outcry that our forests are diminishing. So there should be a complete stop on mining in all our forests.
Remember the call for a state of emergency?
You understand? I'm saying there should be complete stop to mining in every forest.
Have you asked whether Nanado respected the call for state of emergency?
But you agreed with that.
But you said, no, President Mahama said he would put emergency. Where is the state of emergency?
Is that emergency? What?
President Mahama promised that he will declare state of emergency. Where is it?
Show me where he said it. Show me where he said it.
I can give you voices.
Show me
voices on
where he said he will
platform.
declare state of emergency.
I'll give you voice on campaign platform.
Yes,
So please,
I will be happy.
let me just give you.
I will be expecting it from you, New Center.
You see, that as I said, if language is the politicians are careful with their language, all this we are discussing will not be here. The argument at the time was that
I'm very careful with my language.
Maybe.
And
but
President Mahama is very careful with his language. He's a communicator.
If what he's doing is what he's not really been careful in that statement. You understand it?
Yeah.
Because the call from all civil society organized society was that how do we allow mining in forests? And therefore every mining in forests must cease. That was the campaign. Then President Mahama promised that the law that permits mining in forests is the 2456, and that if he is elected, he's going to revoke that law. That was the word he used. So the understanding was that to say he will revoke the law.
Now you are not saying he said he will expunge. No,
I didn't use expunge. He used the law. He said he said he will revoke the law.
Yeah.
So then the promise of revoke means that the entire law is going to be brought down. Okay. That to say you revoke the law means that there will not be any mining in the forest reserve anymore. But after winning the election, what he has sent to Parliament is not revoking mining in forest reserve. The amendment the president has proposed, which was presented to Parliament, says that from now on, he as president will no longer grant licenses for mining in forest reserve. They are two complete different things.
How?
They are two complete different things. The reason they are two complete different, that's what I gave the premise that during the campaign, the argument and the call was that all mining in forest must cease because we don't understand why they should mine in forest reserves. And then the culprit was found to be that law that permits that to be happening. And then the president promised that when given the opportunity, he will revoke the law and there will be no mining in forest. Now what he's trying to do is saying that me as President Mahama, I will not sign any mining. That's the amendment I'm looking for. But that was not a promise. If we understand the promise, it meant that we were going to ban all mining in forest. That is what he said. Please, listen. Honorable, that is what the president said. Is that what I'm saying? That
you are trying to
if politicians will be very calculative and watch their words, President Mahama would have said on the campaign platform that, well, Akufo-Addo is the one that allows people to be mining in the forest reserves. He has made a law that gives him the president the power to do. Me, if I come, Mahama, I will never give any license. If President Mahama said he will not give any license, today nobody will be blaming him.
No, but there's a difference here.
There's a difference here because
people already in the forest mining.
The call was that end it. Stop all those people from mining.
You understand? Okay. It's different from when I come, I will not allow.
I will not grant a license.
Exactly.
Because
he said he will not. Has he granted any license?
No, he didn't say that. That's what I'm saying.
The promise was that he will revoke.
Honorable.
And that will cover all persons in the mining now.
I'm saying that if the President Mahama has said, he could have even have said that he still got his vote.
Yeah.
And said, oh, Akufo-Addo is the one that is giving license to people to mine the forest reserve.
So place the blame on him.
If you vote for me, Mahama, when I come, I will not grant any license. Today, we will not be holding him accountable for anything. If you use that language, then everybody knows that the license Akufo-Addo has granted is what is happening. Me, if Mahama, I come, I will not grant any license for that. It would have been clear. But he didn't say that.
Hold that thought.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. He didn't say that.
Hold that thought for me. Let me take a quick break. And then when we come back, you wrap up the conversation regarding this particular matter. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel One Television. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Interesting conversation in the studio. Elvis, you had the floor before the break. I need you to wrap up your thoughts on this.
At the time that President Mahama said he will revoke, it was something that was happening.
Yes.
That people were mining in forest reserves. And then civil society said, no, this is bad for us because environmental-wise, we cannot allow all our forests to be destroyed. At that time, we were told 10 forest reserves are completely be taken over. Even this one by illegal, but we are talking about legal mining that we license. And people say no. Some people say we cannot permit legal mining to be taking place in a forest reserve. So the call was to ban legal mining in forest reserves.
Yeah.
President Mahama said when given the chance he will revoke it. See, he didn't say that what is already happening, I cannot just come and revoke it because it is legal. These are leases that have even been passed by Parliament.
Yes.
And that if I come, I will not give additional licenses for mining in forest. If he had said, that's why I was emphasizing on the language. If he had said that if I come, what is already there, I can't do anything because Parliament has to approve these mining leases. So it has been done already. If I come as president, as for me, I will not issue any license for any company to go and mine in the forest. It would have been clear. But the complaint at that time was not about his future actions of not issuing additional license. The complaint was that stop what was already happening. So if he promised that he was going to revoke it, the understanding was that he was going to revoke what was already existing. You understand? That's why I'm saying that if politicians want to speak to us as public, if they will look at their language critically and analyze it, if I say it this way, nobody can hold me accountable because it's exactly what I'm going to do. They will have a lot of freedom. But when they make sweeping statements, because it is a campaign platform, when the reality catches up with them, they will realize that sweeping decision, they will not be trying to find ways to navigate it. Because there's no way anybody will tell that President Mahama, who was the president before, did not know that when somebody is legally mining a forest reserve, it meant that the person has gone through every process required, including parliamentary approval, before the person was granted that lease to be able to mine there. There's no way anybody will tell that President Mahama didn't know that. So President Mahama knew that those who are already there, it was going to be difficult for him. But the complaint at the time was not about whether President Mahama, when you come, will you also continue issuing licenses. That was not the complaint. The complaint was that what is happening at the time is bad. So we want it dealt with. And the President Mahama at the time said, if you give me the mandate, I will stop it. I will revoke that law. So that's why I'm saying that if politicians don't want us to be dragging them the way we always drag them in this country, they should just be mindful of their language and tell us exactly what they will do, rather than giving us sweeping statement, generalized statement, and then they'll come.
The problem and
the cry of the people was not just issue of mining. It was about galamsey, illegal mining.
No, the two first is not about illegal mining. It's the law that he said he will revoke has nothing to do with illegal mining. It has to do with mining in forest reserves. That has nothing to do with that law. Has nothing to do with illegal mining.
I'm saying at that time,
I'll come to you and then you wrap up on this conversation.
CSOs,
we'll move on.
CSOs, we all agree. The CSOs call was not just a matter of mining. It was on the issue of illegal mining.
But the president's promise was on what?
Listen. So the president says, when I come, I will make sure that the law that permits people to mine in our forest reserves is revoked. You understand?
Yeah.
And the president has taken bold steps towards a revocation of that particular law. That is the context I want us to look at it. If, since he came, he sat there aloof and he's not taking any step, that is when you can hold him to such a crucifixion. But he's taking a bold step towards expunging that particular law. He's taking the steps towards revoking that law. And actions has also been taken in order to prevent people, illegal miners, from mining in the forest reserves and on our river bodies. We've even set up blue water police and all those things. So what I'm saying here is that can we critically look at what has been done and what is yet to be done in the fight against galamsey and illegal mining? That is the crux of the matter.
Very well.
But people having licenses, legal and legitimate licenses, it's not just a matter somebody can just get up with a wave of the pen and then revoke those licenses.
Agreed.
There are consequences to that. And so the legal processes must be used in order to take steps to revoke. But for now, he, as president, has said that I'm not going to give any license to anybody to mine in the forest.
Very well. Very well. Doc.
Thank you very much.
In 1 minute, wrap up on this,
by the way,
and then we'll move on to other matters.
It's 1 and 2 days. How come the president of the republic has not faced Ghanaians and journalists and taken direct questions from them? And taking questions from them. Let me finish, please. Here, what is he hiding from? Why is he afraid to take questions from ordinary and Ghanaians?
President is not an adult. He's not scared to meet people.
Can I
Honorable,
do
please.
that?
Honorable,
It's
please.
120 days. He's not done that. I would have expected that by now, at least, he will face Ghanaians. He will take questions from the media. He will do- Maybe it's not too late. Maybe we should give a shout out to the.
When did Nado do his?
Complications and others. So I
When did Nado do
I like
his?
this revisionist roller coaster explanations that Honorable is giving about what he says. I like it. It's good because he's trying to put context. He's trying to say things. Meanwhile, it's listen. Here's social contract number 19. Ban illegal and new mine activities in forest reserves. Money.
But I have an issue with that.
He-
How do you ban something that is illegal?
He wrote it.
Is it ban illegal?
But
How
he
do you
wrote
ban
it.
something
So why
that
did
is
he write
illegal?
it? You see,
If
that's the
the thing
point.
is
You see,
illegal, it is
you
illegal.
go and write something. See, that's what I'm saying. Ghanaians, listen. Politicians like to deceive sometimes. And secondly, they like to engage in some amount of
Are you
deception
not a politician?
using words and certain.
Are you not a politician?
And this is what is happening here. So he says, I will
So
ban
he's part
something
of
that
it.
is already illegal.
Yes.
Meanwhile, what is illegal?
Because your
you said
government has permitted it.
Please, this
The thing is
calculate-
illegal, but your government has permitted it.
Honorable,
Let me
please.
also
Honorable,
let me
please.
also talk to
The thing is illegal, but your government has permitted it.
So you see, that's what I'm saying. That so and you can understand. So that is why I'm saying they've now reduced performance to a ticket box. Oh, we said we'll ban illegal. Well, what does that even mean? I don't know, but they've done it. And you say, oh, clap for me because I have banned illegal. Illegal was illegal, and I've made it legal. I don't know what that means.
Wrap up, let's
It's kind of
make
progress. It was
it's a
illegal.
warped logic
Government-
and it's a
your government
confusing
made it
logic.
legal.
But that's what he has done. Anyway,
Wrap up and let's make progress.
there's something that I want to. I want to move something
30
to.
seconds, go.
30 seconds. Number 26. The president promised that carry out the shake up all laws making SOEs and realign them. Yes. SOEs are one of the things that are dragging
He's done
this
it.
economy. Please. As we are speaking, more than 60% of SOEs do not have board of directors. More than 60% of SOEs do not have board of directors.
But the issue
You have
is that-
CEOs and you have managing directors there that are running
In
the show.
acting
Some of them,
positions.
they cannot make some of the most difficult decisions. They cannot make some of the most important decisions. They cannot because there is no board of directors. And by the laws today, they cannot.
So you expected President Mahama
Honorable,
to have brought a
hold
completion
on, hold
to everything.
You said you will set up the government, and this is
20 days.
this is what I'm saying.
We could not do it in 8 years.
This is what I'm
Honorable,
saying.
please
This
allow
is the
him
point.
to land.
But he's setting
When you say government, we always have this myopic idea of government as just ministers, deputy ministers, and the chief of staff. No. SOEs and CCs are part of the bureaucracy.
Yes.
They are part of the national, and they are part of the government and the governance of this country. So if you go and put ECG, a very critical national officer, now they're struggling with doomsaw here, doomsaw there, doomsaw there. ECG needs to make important decisions to save the energy sector, but they don't have a board of directors. So what happens? For 4 months now, no board of directors. You go to almost all of them, so they cannot make the important decisions to be effective and to be efficient.
Who said
So the problem is that when the president is saying that we should clap for them because they've done well. Secondly, for 4 months, you say you are going to set up the most leading efficient government. Our diplomacy and diplomatic efforts are at a standstill because very few, if any, ambassadors at all have been appointed. Today, issues about trade in the global sense are facing difficult challenges. Governments, today the UK is trying to get a trade deal with America. Governments and diplomats all over the world are trying to negotiate and trying to get a better deal. We don't have, because we don't have ambassadors. I'm saying, Mr. President, you have taken a victory lap on your... Yes, you have taken your victory lap on the 120 days. The governance and the government and the machinery, it's time to work. Go back to work, Mr. President. And by the way, ban illegal mining, expunge the law, and let us free. This Mami water gas you put there cannot do anything that the soldiers couldn't do.
Thank you.
One short, that's observation.
30 seconds, I beg you.
This 120 days thing all over the world.
Yeah.
Every government take credit. They never talk about the negative that are happening in 120 days. All over the world, not only Ghana.
Trump said
So the question is that the 120 days, is it supposed to only to talk about
what I have done,
and then not talk about
what I couldn't do.
the negatives? Not Ghana. I'm not talking about Ghana. I'm saying that all over the world. This is what 120 days have been turned into.
That is why
that governments use it to praise themselves. Okay,
be able to point out the
they use
things
it to praise
that the government has
themselves.
not done.
But
Let's make progress. Let's make progress.
Things that happen within the same day. So it is a half accountability. And it's not Ghana, it's all over the world. So
all over.
the democratic process, and sometimes when you view it clearly, you realize that they have their own ways. Why will you tell me about only your positive in 120 days, but you won't tell me about negative? You are the one governing the country.
The ex-National Signals Bureau boss has issued a letter detailing how the alleged 49 million Ghana cedis was spent. I am not a lawyer, and without any prejudice to the case which is in court, I am wondering, how does giving us a breakdown of how the money was spent absolve you of the alleged crime against you?
Well, in the statement, I didn't even see any link between the 49 million and what the expenditures is put out there.
Yeah.
So I'm actually confused, and I don't know what the statement is supposed to say.
He says he's disclosing the details of these transactions reluctantly, solely to clear his name.
No, the transactions to who? What? This, let's get it clear. The man has been accused of using money meant to buy a cybersecurity equipment for his personal gains. That is what the Attorney General has put out there. If you see the charges in court, that is what the Attorney General has filed. Then in his response, he says the NSB has used money to do ABCD. The NSB, as a state institution, spends money. It does expenditure. So if it spends money to do certain things, why are you bringing it to my attention? You are not telling me that the 49 million that you are accused of diverting, that is what has been used for this expenditure. In his statement, he didn't provide any linkage between the accusations against him and the expenses that he is putting out. So I am like, is he putting this out to blackmail the state from prosecuting him or what? Because if you really are going to defend yourself, I was expecting him to say, okay, the money meant to buy this equipment for maybe some exigencies, the decision was taken not to buy the equipment anymore because we needed the money to do A, B, C, D, and we spent it on A, B, C, D. I would have understood that, okay? But he never gave any explanations. If you look at the timeline, the AG said the money for the cybersecurity was spent. It's different from the timeline these monies he said have been given. Because if he says monies were given to Parliamentary Select Committee to work on their law, when was the law passed? The time the law was passed and the time the alleged embezzlement took place are completely two different timelines. So when you look at the statement he released, I was telling a friend that I think this guy has shot himself in the foot. Because what I deduce from it is trying to scare the state from prosecuting him, saying that NSB as a state institution for national security can spend money for anything they think is good for the national state. So if they think that giving money to support the opposition party to do their coalition, according to what he said, at the time was necessary, they did it. It has nothing to do with the accusation leveled against him. Because he has not linked the fact that, okay, the 49 million I'm accused of stealing. We didn't buy the equipment anymore. But we realized that we needed money for ABC, so we diverted the money from him to come and do ABC.
Could the link be with the two accounts which he says are NSB accounts and the money is used for some covert operations which he has given details?
So if you are accused of spending money to buy something, and if indeed you didn't embezzle, you would have told us that the money I am accused of stealing, we took a decision as NSB not to use it for that purpose anymore. But then we actually diverted it from that purpose and we use it for ABC. If the statement had said that, I would have said he's putting up some defense. Right. But what he put out there did not link the expenditure to that 49 million. And if you look at the breakdown he's giving there, it's far less than the 49 million he's accused of. So clearly, I was telling somebody that if he wants to fight in court of public opinion, he may need to hire a communication consultant to help him. Because this statement that you are putting out there, for me, I don't see the bearing on the case he is facing in court. I don't see the bearing because he has not made any linkages. He has not made any linkages to the accusation, to the expenditure he's talking about. Because the expenditure he's talking about, as I said, for if you look at the time the law was passed, it has nothing, the timeline is different from this thing. And you see, putting out that MPs were giving some money, let Ghanaians stop this thing, which sometimes maybe we have not been transparent with some of this, so the public does not have much information.
If you tell the figures in his statement, it actually sums up to the 49 million.
It doesn't sums up. It doesn't sums up. I tell you it doesn't sums up.
You're sure?
I did it. That's why I'm asking the question. See, when you send a bill to Parliament for them to be passed for you, Parliament will look at their resources and say, okay, we have the money to finance the committee to be able to go and sit in a royal city or somewhere, have time, pay the hotel bill, fill them, give them some per diem to be able to do their work. If Parliament felt like, okay, as an institution at this moment, we don't have a budgetary line for this. So you, the institution that want the bill to be passed, your bill will wait till Parliament finds money. But if you can finance the process and we will fast track and do your work for you, we can do it for you. If you the institution you offer to finance it, I don't see it as bribery because Parliament will have to finance it. They don't have the resources. You too need the law to be passed for you because you think that you needed it urgently. If we feel that Parliament doesn't have the money to do it,
the Parliament will be on break.
You understand?
Right.
To call members.
Exactly.
You understand it?
Yeah.
And if you think that they don't have the money, but you want the law and you want to finance the expenditure that is needed for them to be able to go and sit somewhere, work on your law and pass it for you, and you finance, and you go and release that money. You go and release that statement to look as if Parliament is being paid some unwholesome money or some bribe. I don't get it. See, sometimes let's bring clarity on issue and stop creating situations that tarnishes certain images of people. National security can spend money for it. If they felt that President-elect, at the time he was elected, he needed security vehicles. Because he needs to be protected until inauguration. And national security haven't realized that maybe the vehicle the president is at the time are not safe for him because he's not president-elect. And therefore, he needs to be supported. And you provide 2 vehicles for the president. That is the duty of a national security apparatus to do. So the expenditure he has released and then the accusation, because the statement has failed to explain to me that the money I'm accused of stealing, it is not stealing. We decided to buy this, but at this point, for exigencies of expenditure and because we didn't have money to do that expenditure, we as NSB took an official decision, which will be backed by documents, that this money should rather be used for purpose A, B, C, D, for which we used it. Then I think that is putting up a defense for himself. Now, what I deduce from this is that let me put something out there that will scare prosecutorial authorities from prosecuting me. If that is the intention, I may be wrong. But if that's the intention, I think that he's got it wrong. Because we are looking for explanations into the 49 million that is supposed to be used to buy an equipment. What happened to that man? That's what the public is yet to know. Since he didn't link that expenditure to this, but only released figures, I don't really understand the purpose of what was released.
Honorable, what do you make of this statement and first, putting it out there in the public domain?
Let me say it's very unfortunate. And my old classmate, lawyer Thatcher, did not do well. As a lawyer, I think in situations like this, you don't allow such things because this could be one of your defense in court. You've already made even the public, ordinary people who are not lawyers and judges, to virtually dismantle your defense. I thought that he would have been advised to still keep quiet until the case really starts in court, because the case has not really started. Where you'll be asked, cross-examined, and all those things. So it's unfortunate that he allowed his client to make such a statement. And like my brother said, I don't want to add to what my brother said. And when you look at the statement, it's so hollow. It's not defensible because the timelines don't work out. And also, the excuses and the sort of agencies and institutions he claimed he has financed. Some of the things, you may not even have evidence to back it. If, for example, you say you give money to Elvis to do ABC, and Elvis comes to me and says, I've not received any money from you, what will you do? What will you do? It will be your word again. Because most of these transactions, national security transactions, are not covered by documents that people will sign. People will do this because of the way they are done. So I feel sad for the young man, and but that is not the only case. Let me be frank with you. A lot of the cases, the people involved are mentioning names. They are singing like parrots, and the thing becomes like a syndicate, an official thing where people were supposed to gather and plunder. You understand? And so we need to critically sit down. And my question, when I saw this yesterday, I was discussing somebody, I said, if it is your private business, will you do such things? If those monies were your money, will you use it the way you have used it? But he's also forgotten one thing, that Chatu Chikata was jailed not for corruption, not for stealing, but for misapplication.
Not him alone.
Victor Solomon for misapplication. For misapplication, and not because they stole money. You understand? So even if that money was what he's accused of having. The way it's applied, was it meant to be applied that way? So you already giving yourself up. Look, more recently, under Nana Akufo-Addo, Alhaji Osman, Bafo Boni and the rest, they went to jail because they even acquired the materials for national security operation. But because the materials were not used at the time when they were cited for the corruption, they went to jail. You understand? So in such situations, I think exercising some level of quietness, will be better served. Then you can now wait and see what the prosecution really has. Because some of the charges they prefer when they have entered court, when the case has started, may be modified, may be reviewed. And that will give you substantial time to be also able to prepare your defense and defend yourself. I think my brother Tachia has not helped him. And I seriously think that if there is anything more to say, he must hold his peace and allow the case to start.
Thank you, Honorable. Doc, you take us home on this one.
Thank you very much. When His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo left office, he hasn't said much. But one of the few things he said, or I like to have said, is that every appointee of his should stay back and face accountability where there is. He says, account for your aid for whatever years stewardship. And that is a good call. And I'm happy with this. I'm ashamed of the country we were where he in particular was. I've heard you say you were maltreated. I'm ashamed of that country. I'm ashamed of the country where the current Attorney General was maltreated by security officers. I'm ashamed of the country where the current Energy Minister was maltreated. In the same way, I'm ashamed of the country where Honorable Ntim Fojo was maltreated, Edison was maltreated. We are better than that. Our democracy has come far. Our rule of law has come far enough. So I am happy that these issues right now are matters of court. A man has been charged. A man is now fighting for his liberty. The right thing will be done, justice will be delivered. I am never going to sit here to assume, pretend I know or I don't know what is happening. I know that he has lawyers, and I think agree, and that whatever that is happening, the lawyers adopt the strategy that they feel is better for them to defend their clients. So again, I'm not competent enough to begin to determine what is done. What I know is that both the Attorney General and now the lawyers are trying to also prosecute this case in the court of our public opinion. That's what they are doing. That's why you are seeing the marathon press conferences and now these releases. At the end of the day, that is the political aspect of this case that you see, eventually to be in a law court. But they are also trying to say that, look, whatever happens, this is how it's going to be. Because there's always a narrative that is going on. And I've said that. It happened under the NDC, and it happened when MP was in power, and I hope it doesn't happen. Where sometimes you will see even legislators, members of parliament, abandon parliamentary duty, and they go to court to now try to apply some amount of political pressure on judges to rule in their favor. They go to court and they use some amount of political harassment to try to get a ruling. It has happened in the past. It has happened. MPs have gone to the Supreme Court or courts of people to do that. It's despicable and it's wrong. NDC MPs have gone to the courts to try to do that, to support in the name of supporting their colleagues. It's despicable. It's wrong. Let's not do that. Let's leave the other arm of government. Let this man or woman, anybody that is charged, to go there to fight for their rights, to fight for their liberties. The presumptions of innocence should always be upheld. Nobody, I think even in the NDC, or the people will come and say, if you've done something wrong, we should let you go. No, you were not appointed to go and serve with impunity. You were appointed to serve with laws and the laws of this country. And I'm sure, my prayer is at the end of the day, the right will be done. At the end of the day, justice will be done. That no innocent man should be convicted if he's not guilty, and that no guilty person should be allowed to go free if he's not. Once we do that, we begin to build a country of laws, we begin to build a country of rules, we begin to build a country of fairness, justice, and equity. Those are noble, those are vital, and those are integral values that we need to put into our democracy.
Thank you.
So that we move away from this gangsterism and move to a more civilized, humane society where there's rule of law and justice.
Thank you, Doc. Time is spent, but we have a few messages. I'll read them out, and then we can say goodbye for this morning. Master Planner Junior from Kintampo says the 120 days of President Mahama is the worst 120 days of governance in the history of Ghana. Most of the promises can even be achieved by girls prefect in senior high schools. Hey, young one.
Hey, who's taking this school?
Hey.
Maybe we're gay. Maybe we're gay. Maybe we're gay.
He goes on to say that the president should fix the doomsday storm Galamsey and reduce the price of cement as promised. NDC, blah, blah, blah. That's Master Planner from Kintampo. Ali Baba from Medina says, God bless His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for his good heart and commitment to safeguard our democracy through due process and honoring most of his campaign promises within the first 120 days. Ghanaians can judge the president's words and not the MPP's words and expectations because they are better, and wishing the president's failure in their hearts. Goes on to say a lot more. That's Ali Baba from... This one says, Nana Tufo, please ask the former MP in your studio if the AG was also right to conclude that Dubois here is a criminal, and why didn't he wait for the court of law to say that, but rather him to pronounce criminality on the matter before the... I'm not sure where you're going with this, so we'll leave it at that. But gentlemen, thank you so much. This has been good, quite insightful. Dr. Joshua Jebuntie Zato, he is a member of the New Patriotic Party and a senior political science lecturer, University of Ghana.
Please, our rules again.
You didn't add inshallah to it. You should have said inshallah. And then that's it.
Amen. Hallelujah. He's a drip boss. And look, our roasts are despicable.
Very
you
well.
don't need that you are a gang.
Thank you.
You love your king.
Doc,
do you know that
enough,
Sisale is
enough.
produces the best maize in the whole world? You know that.
Doc, enough. Thank you. We need to go. Elvis Dako, thank you so much. Nilante Vanderpoy, National Coordinator of DRIP, thank you so much.